ladies and gentlemen. My name is Eddie Marcus, spokesman and advocate for basic human rights for all people. And recently I've asked you if you'd consider writing me in on the ballot as the next president of the United States of America. I won't be on the ballot, but I've asked you to listen to what I'm saying, and if you agree with what I'm talking about, show your support for that by writing my name in as the next president of the United States of America. Tonight I want to talk to you about a subject that is very, very precious, and I hope you've got the time to listen to it. In fact, as recent as a moment ago, I was taking a shower, and the thought occurred to me that this message that I'm going to bring to you is a message that you just might think that I'm out of my mind. Nevertheless, it is a message that is timely. And I got to give it to you. You know, the world's greatest criminal is human government. No one is an exception. Human government is the world's greatest criminal. And when I say it is the world's greatest criminal, it is a continuation, the world's government, of the government that started someplace else. Many of you might be biblical scholars, and you remember, if you are, that somewhere in heaven there was an angel. They called him Lucifer, I believe. Beautiful, into the arts, music, and precious in his own mind, who at one point in time decided within himself that he was able to do a better job being God than God, or at least equal to God. In other words, had control, power. I heard somewhere in that description that he began to go amongst the angels and share with them this message that his plan was better than the plan they had been used to, and they bought it. I found out somewhere in that same story that this Lucifer, was kicked out of heaven. I don't know if it's true, but that's the way the story goes. And a third of the host of angels went with him. Who were these? These were those who followed the one who said, my way is better than the way. And all over the world today, ladies and gentlemen, what we have are governments designed by people who are saying that my way is better than the way. And what is the way? The way is the way that works, that benefits God. That's the way. God's way is the way that services heavenliness. That means people's desires being met here on earth as though they were in heaven. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So says another story that came from Jesus supposedly. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven is the desire of everyone that's led by the Spirit of the Almighty truth. Love for one another is an expression of your understanding of all things. Understanding all things are of God. And the only way that you can express any love for God is to love all things, and all things being loved, it means giving it power to sustain itself, to make it whole, to make it real, life. And yes, on earth we have governments that say, my way is better than that. And in their way we have poverty, crime and violence and terrorism and war. And in the midst of all of this, ladies and gentlemen, We have rules and regulations. We have laws that says if you do this, we'll do this. If you do this, we'll do this. You're locked down into the systems of the world. And when you get to a point where you're tired and you want to protest, they say you got to follow the rules. Here are the rules of protest. You got to do this, you got to do this, and you got to do this. And if you don't do this, then we will do this, and we will do this, and we will do this. What is that? Bondage. And somewhere in another story I heard someone say that to turn back to God, to turn back to the truth, frees you from the law. Somebody said, what are we talking about? Moses. Moses is a representative of the law. All of this, God says, love God and your neighbor. These are the two. They are the greatest of the commandments. And if you've done these, you've done all else. And that works for anybody that's thinking about God or anybody who's thinking about worldly things. You got to do it for one another. Anyway, here in this world, that doesn't happen. Here, it doesn't happen. So when you say that you're being led by the Spirit of God, you're saying now that I understand that the world that I'm living in is a world that says and binds me with the law that says I must do things and maintain a system that is contrary to my new understanding of life. And yet Jesus said, now is the awakening. Now is the time to let your little light shine. Everywhere you go, all in your home, let it shine. All down the street, let it shine. All in your schools, let it shine. All in your grocery store, let it shine. All in your political halls, let it shine. All in your church, let it shine. And all in the streets, let it shine. They don't tell you where to protest. You protest where you want to protest. Why? Because you are the master of your fate. You are not going to be bound by that which is anti-truth. And you recognize what happens to people. Just like you who followed the angels and Lucifer out of heaven because you weren't accepted there. If you get your life right and start doing what is right, showing love to one another, this earth will change, or they will kick you out of here. Just like they did Dr. King, just like they did Gandhi, just like they do all the people who decide, I'm going to do right. But that's no reason to say, well, they kill people who do right, so I better not do right. I mean, I do it best I can. And God will understand. That don't work like that. Hello? Hey. Not yet. All right, bye. So, here's that big story, ladies and gentlemen. If you were a Christian, truly, when Jesus was on that cross, God said to the world, and you have said, here's one without sin, who is up on the cross, being nailed to the cross. And I mean, in some of these movies, they had him being beat down big time. But he went through it. He withstood it. As a sign from God to all of you who have sinned, if that God would allow this to happen to one who he loved, who had not sinned in your behalf, what makes you think you're going to escape if you don't do the requirements? The requirements are to represent, to do what Jesus would and was doing. And what was that? To stand up and let the world know that the laws and all of these systems of the world are designed to deny God. But the systems of the world get their power from you. And you give them their power because you're blind to the fact. And this is the truth that comes to let you know What you're doing is the same thing that was being done in heaven against God. Now it's being done on earth against God. Because God is love. God is the author of everything. No man made the earth. No angel made the earth. God made the earth. The waters, God made the waters. Land, God made the land. He didn't make land and then turn land into water. Or water and turn water into land. He made land and water. He made animals and man. He didn't make an animal and turn him into a man. He made an animal and he made a man. He wasn't indecisive, knew what he was doing. You have been told that you came from an animal because you know that animals don't have morals. That didn't allow you to do anything and everything you want to do without any compassion. Why? Because you are an animal. Don't believe that crap. You know an animal. Anyway, I want you to know this. This is what I want you to know. The systems that we represent all over the world, but right now in the United States of America, the system that we represent is a system that is anti-God. All of the religions support it. All of the people support it. And they got an excuse. Everybody got an excuse for doing what they do. But excuse is not acceptable because you are reaping the benefits of this lie. All that is existing around us, we bring it on ourselves. Not to say that if we were different, that these things, natural things, would not occur, but we would be willing and ready to prepare and prepared to deal with them. But right now, we're not under that kind of punishment. We're under punishment of living a lie. So I'm saying to all of the churches, refocus your information on biblical stories and start telling the people that God represents a different way of life. And those that are led by the Spirit of God represents a different action in life. And that we do not follow the dictates of those who are not led by the Spirit of God. But we take that as an opportunity to do as we preach. And we're willing to pay the price because the truth must be made known. And the truth will withstand. Yes, oftentimes, depending upon the situation, and I go to the extreme, because the extreme is where they catch us at. We will have to lose our lives. But ladies and gentlemen, when Jesus died on that cross, God was also saying, for one who can go through all of this for nothing, can definitely reap the greatest reward. And you might say, well, what reward? I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, what reward would you require? What reward would you require? All I can say to you is this. I have walked the walk and I have paid some price. And every time, every God-given time, every time, whatever the persecution came, it was joy to my heart. It was joy to my delight. I don't know, I can't explain it. So I say it's divine. And so I can stand here today and tell you, voting for the Republicans and Democrats is not going to make a difference. Your life is still going to stag over time drag. But it's not, I don't want you to be just pointing your finger saying the system is no good. And I don't want you just pointing your finger saying Congress is no good. You see, ladies and gentlemen, the system and Congress represent you. And what it is saying about you is this, is that you are no good. And you are no good in the sense that you have bought, accepted the training that you have been given that allows you to support the system that stands. and in supporting the system that stands, this is no good. This is the action of being no good. And while you people may be wonderful people, your action is indicative of no goodness. And its effect on people is with no good. So what this message is to say to you, this is what's happening. And you, if you want to be some good, you got to change. And how do you change? By doing what you would want done to you in a situation like that. And yes, you're going to make the boat rock, but rock that sucker. And tell the Republicans and tell the Democrats to go home because you're not thinking like that any longer. You've changed your attitude about life. You're going to be different. You're going to protect the interests of everybody, those interests that are coming amongst you all. That means food, clothing, shelter. That means housing. That means education. That means health care. That means careers of choice. That means a chance to live, to enjoy yourselves, to be with your families, to go back to class reunions, to travel the world, to fly, to be on the boats, and just to live, ladies and gentlemen, without the attachments. And you know what? Everything that God designed can be done through a simple process. And rather than take a long way to tell you about the simple process, let me tell you the short way. The short way is to take out the problem. The problem is money. You know, sometimes when people can't continue education, what's the problem? Money. Need to go to the doctor, don't have insurance. Why? Money. Got no food or food. Why? Money. Get kicked out of school. Why? Money. Everything got to do with money. Let me tell you something. What role does money really play? Here you go. You got the property, you got the needs, you got the individual, and all you have to do is bring the three together. And if the three were brought together because that was the design of what the process, if that was the design of the will of the people, then it could happen. But when you let somebody throw in, oh, hold it, you can't do that, put money in there. Put money in there. I'm doing money. Just put money in there because money going to make it flow smooth. Okay, now while you're doing that, let me throw a little interest in there. Got to kind of come back, okay? Let me throw a little this, let me throw a little bit. Now all of a sudden, this is a thing to stretch. Why? Somebody's getting something out of that has nothing to do with what's being done except a rip-off. And that's what's happening all over our world. We're being ripped off, so you snatch the money out of there and watch that baby come together. Watch that baby come together. All over this country, people can have everything they need. Can learn unlimited, unrestricted education, unlimited, unrestricted health care, careers of choice, and living as if they're in heaven right here. If we kick out that system that was kicked out of heaven. So I say to you, let's kick out that system or let that system kick us out to a place where we, people like us, deserve to be. And where do we deserve to be? We deserve to be in a place where there's peace, where there's prosperity, and where there's joy. All right, till next time, Eddie Marcus saying, write my name in on that ballot now. Eddie Marcus, the next president of the United States of America. Not Barack Obama, not some Republican, whoever it might be, or any other. And the reason Eddie Marcus is not because Eddie Marcus is great, but because you, the people, together as a group, are great. And by signing this, you're saying that you're coming together as one. And as one, we will be great and do great things for this nation. Bye-bye.
Every day I'm shuffling